Hi, and welcome to this very special episode of the Thoughtful Talents Show. I'm Jen Werner of Jen Werner Coaching.
And I'm Chad Ahern of Talent Teams Consulting.
And as you can see, we're at Gallup. So we're super excited to be here to share some insights with you and Chad.
Yeah, so this is the morning of the second day, so we're going to talk just about our first day experience and some quick highlights that we'll get into a lot more in a future episode. So we're going to share each of our thoughts.
Yeah.
And Jen, why don't you launch us off with your first highlight from today or from yesterday?
Yeah, I wanted to start with the pre-summit. So they gave us a little snippet into the state of the global workplace. And the one I thought was really interesting is instead of like employees being like the ones that feel the most negativity, they said managers are experiencing the most negativity right now. And this just goes to show, like, all the things we've been talking about forever. We need to be supporting those managers, giving them, support, insights, training, just loving and giving them the attention, because really they're the ones that are helping us move the ship forward. And without them, we're all going to fail. So I'm super excited to see that, like, what we're doing is moving the needle in the right direction, but we need more of us supporting those managers.
Yeah. So I'm going to then talk about the keynote, which was from Gordon Gee. He's the West Virginia University president. He was fantastic. And given my higher ed background, it really stuck out to me. He made a wonderful transition from institutions of higher education to institutions of higher purpose. And what we need are institutions promoting the idea of purpose, because when we embrace purpose as in the workforce and in education, we combat complacency. I thought that whole idea was awesome. And of course, we're going to dig into that more when we do our future episode that'll debrief the summit in total.
Yeah, and that totally speaks to my belief, like that purpose, right?
Yeah.
And what I took from him was that that quote, he said, "It's hard to plot a course without a compass."
Yeah.
And he talked about how had he gotten his strengths a long time ago, instead of when he got them, that maybe his path would have been a little more direct and not so squiggly. we learned about some squiggly paths from other coaches recently. So I thought that was really great and reads really well to your things.
Yeah.
Next?
Yeah, so I then attended a session on elevating team effectiveness, and there were two really key ideas that I took out of that. One is teams need to start developing a leadership identity statement. And oftentimes, we see these big quotes on walls of, "Oh, this is how our team is," or "These are our values." And really what this exercise is really about taking very distinct words and phrases from your theme descriptions for the top 10 of your leadership team.
Yeah.
And putting them together in a succinct, 1, 2, maybe 3 paragraph statement that really encapsulates how we work together, and what each of us brings. And so I just thought it was an awesome exercise that we'll, again, dig into more. The other one, which I found really interesting, is something called the hero strength, which is when you have teams talk about the theme that they have that nobody else on the team has. And understanding that that's a great way to recognize and celebrate that person's unique contribution to the team.
And our differences, right? So many times we try to find those like connections between one another, but sometimes the power is in our differences. If we're all the same, we're going to all do the same thing. Right. So yeah, that's really great. I wanted to go to Kristen Krug. So she's owner, right? Something of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sorry,
I'll get VP of HR.
I'll get myself together before we do the big one. But what I liked about what she had to say is that they really are looking for ways to connect every person and their values to like the mission. Yeah. And it's so important to hear everyone's voice heard. And that's my thing. Like, let's make sure we hear everybody and what they have to say. So yeah, that was my big one for that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no. You were on a roll. You were on a roll.
Yeah. So the first keynote the first session I went to was Generations at Work, because we've been hearing a lot about this, like Generation Z, and them and the boomers are clashing quite a bit. Us Xers seem to get forgotten completely by everyone. But the big question was, whose responsibility is it when there's conflict? Is it the boomers' issue to change and adapt to what the younger generations need, or is it the younger generations really need to be stepping up and saying, like, hey, this is what I need, or asking questions? The answer is yes. So much more to come on that. But yeah, we both need to be adapting. So.
Nice. Excellent. So one of the last sessions I went to was about leading into the future and what leaders need to be doing. This session really focused on much more your senior leaders, your C-suite for the organizations in my home state of Vermont. I know that we're a little smaller, so sometimes these are just the people at the director's level. But there seems to be the stats were showing a serious disconnect between what leaders think is happening and how they think the well-being of their people is versus the reality. And that really came down to what they think the expectations are versus what the employees are really feeling that the expectations are, and there is a disconnect there. And again, we'll debrief that a little bit more when we get back to our respective homes.
Yeah, right.
But the other key idea that came out of that session that I thought was really important, we talk a lot about leadership training, and we often focus on a lot of skills and conflict management and how to lead strategically. And really what this session emphasizes is that they really need to be focusing on 4 things that usually don't get the attention that they need. And that's purpose, people, decision-making, and performance. And how you utilize your team and your strengths, and also the training to get better at that. And it was just a really interesting way to look at leadership development that is, I think, a little different than what a lot of people think leadership development should be.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So on that point about leaders, so I went to one specifically about executive coaching, and a really good key insight or maybe a good reminder is they may be the CEO and know everything there is to know about their company, but we're the experts about strengths. They're looking to us for us to share with them what we see in their blend of strengths, because sometimes they don't have people around them that tell them the truth, that really give them the insights about themselves. And so they're really looking to us to ask those hard questions and really be there for them to help them uncover what we see so that they can see it too and work to be better with their teams.
Nice.
My last one, if you'll let me do one more, was about feedback. So what everybody wants to talk, everybody's good at great feedback, right? Or at least we should be by now good at giving good feedback, but the hard one is those difficult conversations, when you have to have a difficult conversation with someone. And Benjamin gave us, again, Benjamin Erickson Farr, my favorite, he gave us a structure for communicating this with positive intent. So it's coming from this place of assuming no one comes to work planning to do a terrible job. They're coming with their positive intent, their strengths, they're hoping to get a certain thing out of it, and you might be hoping to get a certain thing out of it, and together we need to come together to make that work. And if it's not, we just need to hear one another. What did you think worked well? What do you think I need to work on? And then work together to do that great.
That's fantastic.
So yeah, I thought it was really good. There's so much more. So when we get home, we'll debrief the entire summit and everything we learned here. Well, and I mean, as much as we can get into it, and that you'll watch.
So, and as we mentioned before, we're just about to start day 2, so we'll have some additional thoughts when we get back home about our second day experience. But until then, I'm Chad Ayrton of Talent Teams Consulting, encouraging you to keep playing to your strengths.
And I'm Jen Renner of Jen Renner Coaching, encouraging you to be uniquely you.